Hi, Scorpio. This is your reading for the week of January 25th, or when it resonates, and of course, it won't be for every Scorpio. So, the feeling that I was getting, or the image that I was getting as I was starting to work with your cards, was really interesting. It was you in your previous life, not your previous life incarnation, but what you have been doing, and you walking through a door and closing the door, and walking into this new space as though the past is gone. You've shut the door on something, and yet it's a glass door. I can see it. It's like it's a sliding door, and I can see right through it. And you're standing there in this new space, but what you've brought with you from the old space are not the same situation, but you've brought with you some of the ways of responding that was a part of your way of being in the past into this new way of being. Now, what they're saying to me is this is a natural part of a transition as we're moving from one to the next. That energetically, those aspects of us that were trained to work with that situation with these mechanisms of thought and behavior as a way of survival, as a way of feeling powerful or not feeling as though we didn't have what we need, coming out of feeling like we didn't have what we need, certain ways of being, speaking, processing with people, that might still be there because it was part of how we survived, right? Now, the interesting thing is, power and responsibility came up together. This was only supposed to be a 3-card spread, but power and responsibility came up together. So then you get Quantum Leap of Faith, which was actually the very first card that I pulled. I went to the wrong pack. I don't know why, but you get Quantum Leap of Faith. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, if what they're talking about now is the fact that you are wonderfully in this new space and that it's normal to have these old techniques and ways of being come up into this new phase of life, the opportunity for you now is to understand that your power is coming from the ability to respond differently. And not only that, this is something that they spoke very, very clearly in the very beginning, as soon as the responsibility card came up, which is part of what you're learning is that you do not have to compulsively be responsible for everything. That's part of an old story for you, Scorpio. And now what you're learning is to let go of whatever behaviors, attitudes, knee-jerk reactions you have about being responsible. You're learning to find a new way of dealing with that and understanding that responsibility doesn't always have to demand action. That being responsible can really be left to faith. What do I mean by I say that? It doesn't even sound like an English sentence. What I'm getting here, I'm going to quiet here, is that a quantum leap of faith for you in this case involves trusting that you are an empowered being, that you do not find power, you will not find power or security in always being responsible for everything, even if that's the way you were trained to think and to believe. This quantum leap of faith means that beyond logical expectation, beyond the linear projection of our minds, there is a place of free fall. Here you trust that what feels like leaping into the unknown void is really sailing on the winds of the infinite, unlimited benevolence, which will guide you wisely to your best and most graceful landing. Now, that should read divine benevolence. But what it's really telling you is, this is where you get to look lovingly, kindly at yourself. And wherever that knee-jerk need to be responsible, or good, or noble, or honorable, or right, you can let it go you can trust that you are a powerful being, because that way of being is really more personality. Power is coming from that central part of you, which also is linked very much to faith, because that central part of you, that power, think of power as an energy radiating from the center of your being in 360-degree radius. It's wise, is connected to your higher mind, and connects you to all possibilities. It guides you along the best route, however circuitous, for the highest good of all concerned. Think of force as an energy that's generated by your personality. It extends from your mind in a horizontal line and is projected in one direction by a mind that sees limited options. Insistence on having a specific outcome may blind the mind to better options. It may be logical, but not wise. Force is ego-directed and usually with a predetermined goal. Power is soul-directed and self-correcting. So if you look at this and you think of it in terms of responsibility and the need to do, that's so very often linked with old wounds, with a need for security, with a need to control for whatever reason. But as long as it's coming from that almost compulsive offer, that compulsive need to offer, to help, to do, that is part of where it's really, really powerful. It's really powerful to look at your power. It's really powerful to look at that and say, how do I feel when I don't? It makes me think of Morita therapy, where they have you stop doing everything that you used to do, even for yourself, so that you could get in touch with whatever discomfort was there around not performing these activities. Okay? And so, and often these were, it was designed for higher intelligence people who were very active and very, very productive, dealing with changes, especially associated to different cultures. Well, this is something that you can associate to. It's a different culture when you're moving from one phase of your life to another. When you've identified a structure that doesn't work for you and you're moving into another one. It's a similar kind of thing. I've seen it a lot with my clients who are retiring, in fact, that comes up, and that need to do. So this is something to pay attention to. And one of the things that they're saying, and I put it back. It kept coming up. I kid you not. Cognitive distortions. As you're doing this, look for, in this case, what I'm going to say is look for absolutes. Look for areas, if you're investigating this, if this is relevant to you at the time, and I said it won't be for everybody, but if you're investigating this at the time, look for not just cognitive distortions like, the typical one I usually use, I have nothing to wear. Well, I have a lot to wear and I'd like something new. That's a different statement, completely different energy. But what this also talks about is that the cognitive distortion element of this is not just a cognitive distortion in terms of I have nothing, but it can also go along with an attitude. This can be expressed in an attitude of musts. It can come from something much deeper. I'll give you a personal example. My mother was very sick when I was a child. We were told we had to be good so she'd get better, right? So I had a cognitive distortion that existed at a subconscious level, that if I ever did anything wrong, Mom was going to die. That I carried with me into my adulthood. It was there as a child, didn't know it was there. Didn't know that's what it was that made me very neurotic and uptight and OCD, but it did. And of course, it carried into various different things in my adulthood, but I only got to look at it when I started looking at a lot of my compulsive behaviors. And what that did was it allowed me to kind of address and transmute the underlying energy around that distortion, that distorted way of thinking. And it gave me the ability to respond. That's what A Course in Miracles calls it. And they also call a miracle a shift in perspective. So that's what you're being offered here, my loves. That's what you're being offered here. And to remember that in that state of power, there's no compulsion. There's none. There is none, because the power comes from existence, not doing. which is not to say that doing isn't good. Absolutely, I will not say that. And Scorpio, you're very good at doing. You're very, very good at doing. And it's one of the reasons why it's very easy and has been easy for you to go to the extreme in that. Okay? It's just one of the natural things. That's a natural expression of your energy. But this, my dears, is you being able to really shift in a way where you really get to experience the delight of your full personal power and see how differently it's going to spread out into the world now with this new approach. I love this for you, Scorpio. Much love, much light.